Indeed, listening to WTJU, and thanks so much to Michael for letting me jump in on something new to welcome two of my favorite folks back to our stage. Marshawn Scanlon and Connor Hearn, known collectively as Rakish, are doing a concert this evening at Albemarle Cider Works, and they have some other gigs coming up as well. But before we chat, how about you all do one? Rakish live here at the WTJU stage, performing what?
That was a tune called Time Check.
Time check, and well, I'm doing my own time check. We've got these fine folks here till 4:30 here at WTJU before they head down to Albemarle Cider Works for a concert brought to you by our friends Brims, the Blue Ridge Irish Music School, in partnership with WTJU. And then if you happen to be elsewhere in the next few days, they are going to be all over the place. They're going to be at the Honky Tonk on Hazel in Philadelphia tomorrow. They're going to be at the Brooklyn. Let me see if I can read this. So dark in here. You have
Old Stone House.
Contra?
Old
the old
Stone House.
Okay.
Hosted by the Brooklyn Contra.
All right.
Yeah.
And then they're also going to be in Norfolk, Connecticut at the library, part of their concert series, and then closing things out up there in Medford, Mass.
Yeah, we're headed north.
Now, is that where you all met back in the day? Was up north? Because I remember the first time you came through was pumpkin bread or something.
It sure was. Yeah, we were kind of all living in different neighborhoods in Boston and around Boston, playing lots of music in our early 20s, and that's when we started kind of writing music and hanging out together.
And what was that? Something? What was the name of that group? Pumpkin bread, or?
Yeah, you got it right. It was Pumpkin Bread. I think we were here in maybe 2018.
Yeah, good long spell for two youngsters like you.
We were talking about how we can't believe this is actually the first time I think we just the two of us have been here.
No, you know, we've during the lockdown we did at least one or two Zoom sessions talking about new releases and such. But first time with just the two of you, because the last time you were here, you had the full band.
That is correct.
And that's Maura Sean Scanlon, by the way, playing fiddle, Aaron Connor Hearn on guitar, although they also do have one of the two oldest instruments in the United States. It's not the guitar, so Maura happens to be playing them both.
Must be the banjo.
That would right. That's right. And we'll be hearing some clawhammer from that in just a bit. But let's talk about that. You know, you met up in New England. You're both in that area, and you've both gone on and doing a variety of things. But Connor, when did you first pick up that guitar and know it was your instrument?
Yeah, I grew up playing the fiddle, actually. I grew up playing a lot of Irish and Scottish music in the Washington, D.C. and Baltimore area. And yeah, my sister played the fiddle, my brother played cello and guitar, so there's a lot of Irish music kind of going on growing up, and I had that in my ears pretty much constantly. And then at some point, I think I started playing guitar as well, and I had already been playing music for 6 years or so, and it just kind of clicked a lot more quickly than fiddle playing ever did for me, so it kind of took over after that.
And Maura, you grew up in North Carolina. Was fiddle or violin your first instrument?
Well, let's see. I started off quite young in Suzuki violin lessons,
Okay.
and luckily my violin teacher exposed me to some fiddle tunes pretty early on, and of course I was hearing a bunch of fiddle music all around me, so that was a big inspiration as well.
Now, Alistair Fraser, Bruce Molsky told me once, you know, he talks about that differentiation, but it's great that the violinists have that fiddle foundation as well, and he once did a demonstration for his students that he was teaching. He said, now this is what a violinist how they would play this particular Scottish piece. And this is how a fiddler with some classical training would play it. Mm. And even to the novice ears, you could tell the difference of how much richer that sound was.
Definitely, yeah. I think it's kind of like having a different accent in the same language, perhaps. It might sound completely different from someone who grew up in the South versus somebody who grew up in the Northeast or in Boston or something like that. But yeah, I think a lot about that and how to get a tone that I like out of classical music and a tone that I like out of fiddle music, and
now
I'm somewhere along my journey.
For Jenna Moynihan, I asked her what got her into Scottish, and she said that she heard, and I've just gone blank on his name, Jeremy
Kittle, it would have been.
Kittle, yep, who was teaching and playing out, doing some Scottish, and that's when she said, oh, I like that sound. What was it for you when you heard Scottish fiddle that said, I like that sound?
Oh, man. Well, I think the earliest memories I have of hearing Celtic music sort of more generally was probably at Merlefest. Merlefest every year down in Wilkesboro, North Carolina. I grew up going to that festival almost every year, I think, and I heard Natalie McMaster play at Merlefest. That's my earliest recollection, and I know I also got to hear Bonnie Rideout at an early age, and a couple other really influential women fiddle players, and they had a big impact on me as a young one.
Well, I have lots of questions, but how about we hear another one from you?
All right.
Yeah, sure thing. We'll give you a little song that I wrote the music to after I took the text from a James Joyce poem. Lightly come or lightly go, though thy heart presage thee woe, veils in many lightly, lightly, ever so. Clouds that wrap the veils below, at the hour of even star, the lowliest attendants are. Love and laughter, song confessed, when thy heart is heaviest. Lightly, lightly, ever so. Clouds that wrap the veils below, at the hour of even star, the lowliest attendants are. Love and laughter, song confessed, when thy heart is heaviest. Love and laughter, song confessed, when thy heart is heaviest.
A Connor Hearn original there, I believe.
Yeah, for the most part. I plagiarized some of the text from a poet named James Joyce.
Well, the best do it. Just ask Dylan. And we do have more Sean Scanlon and Connor Hearn here with us, known collectively as Rakish. And, you know, as I was listening to that in your first piece, I'm curious, what's the biggest change you've noticed? Because I noticed a tremendous change in your early sound as Rakish to now. What have you found as you're discovering your own voices?
I would definitely say, from my perspective, the biggest sort of evolution that our duo has had is that we've really moved into this space of original music, like music that we write, that kind of is a little bit less tethered specifically to one genre of like Celtic music. We definitely think of the music that we make as very heavily influenced by Celtic music, but
contemporary folk is
it definitely has a lot of other influences that we've been able to weave in there, and I think just the biggest difference is that we've allowed ourselves to write all of our music that we play and perform now, and I think taking off the guardrails of any specific type of tradition or genre kind of allows some space, some malleable space for us to kind of create whatever sound we want to be making.
I think it makes it all the more interesting for the listeners. I've just, I always appreciated the early stuff, but you could hear that traditional just kind of holding you. But now, you're spreading your wings each time more and more, and it's such a joy.
Those wings. Thank you,
Connor. How about you?
Yeah, well, just to build on that a little bit, for an example, like I think with a lot of the traditional forms, I love having like the literary backdrop of like in some of these poems, he's like meditating on the loss of some dance forms or poetic forms or musical forms, and maybe just moving on to like a different type of artistic expression. And so for us, that can look like, as Maura was saying, composing something without guardrails. So when we put together like a set of traditional tunes, it's called a set because you put one after another. So you you play a tune and then you play it for a while and then you go on to the next one and you kind of string them together. And that's the traditional form of putting together a little medley. But when we're writing it, it can kind of just be a piece, you know. So it doesn't have to be like we have to play this piece and then we have to play another piece next to it. It can just kind of be, piece is going to be whatever it's going to be, you know.
Yeah, we can kind of break apart a single tune, for example, like Connor was mentioning, breaking apart like one single tune and creating kind of more of a through composed, piece of freestanding music.
Now, I've chatted with Daryl Anger and other musicians quite a bit about this. Of course, with instrumental, you have a little more flexibility. So when you're performing live, if you get the urge, you can try something new. I imagine with songs, though, do you still have to kind of adhere to the foundation and not strain too far away?
I would say I feel a similar sense of flexibility, whether it's vocal or fiddle. I do feel a little bit more versatile, perhaps, on the fiddle. So maybe I can stray a bit farther from the melody, for example, on the fiddle than I might be able to pull off on the banjo or something like that. But I do think everything is kind of tied to a chord structure or a form of the tune, so or the song. So as long as we're kind of working within that, usually we can come out on the other side together, even if we take a brief detour along the way.
Well, speaking of the banjo, you've picked up that banjo, and we're going to get to hear the other oldest instrument in the United States, played along with that fine guitar with Connor. So we've got more Sean Scanlon and Connor Hearn here, known as Rakish. They're in town for a gig this evening at Albemarle Cider Works that starts at 7 o'clock, brought to you by Brims, the Blue Ridge Irish Music School, in partnership with WTJU. And more details on that, well, we've got that over at brimstunes.org, and details about these two at WTJU.net. And while you're online, rakishmusic.com, RAKISH music.com. But what are we going to hear from you?
This is a song of mine called Island in the Sea, and it's kind of an ode to springtime, but also a little bit of a melancholy take on what it means to be a musician who's away from home a good bit throughout the year, but especially in the summertime. So here's Island in the Sea. There's a certain kind of magic that happens this time of year, when the sky is even bluer than this time last year. And that's the time when you're leaving. Is it bluer on the road? There's a vivid color palette visible this time here, when the leaves are full and green and the sun is just breaking through. And that's the time when you're leaving. Is it greener on the road? And when I'm far away, catching springtime on an island in the sea. And when you are far away, catching springtime in the mountains, do you think of me? And there's a lilac-colored twilight that happens this time here, when the shadows they linger as the sunlight fades away. And that's the time when you're leaving. Is it twilight where you are? And there's a darker kind of midnight that happens this time here, when the moon waits even longer to fill up the whole sky. And that's the time when you're leaving. Is it midnight where you watching as the birds are taking to the sky. And that's the time when you're leaving. Are you watching where you are? And when I am far away, catching springtime on an island in the sea. And when you are far away, catching springtime in the mountains. And when I am far away, catching springtime on an island in the sea. And when you are far away, catching springtime in the mountains, do you think of me?
Rakish, live here at the stage at WTJU, and we were talking about their evolution. And I will tell you, Maura Sean, that one of the things I've loved in your evolution is your voice has moved into my phone book, a pantheon of I would listen to you sing from the phone book and be thrilled. So I'm just so happy you found that voice. It's just there, and your musicianship was always there, of course, but your singing, that voice now is... There's
Thank
a
you.
rare group, so thank you.
It has been a fun secondary instrument, if you will, to work on and practice, and yeah.
Well, the voice is an equal member of the instruments out there, and we have to remember that. I once made the mistake of talking to Rachel from Lake Street Dive when they were here, and I said, so do you play any instruments? And she goes, well, I sing. And I had to quickly say, oh, but that's the most important instrument of all. And she says, that's right.
Yes, definitely.
Maybe one of the oldest, too.
That's right. Well, before that, we were chatting about, your evolution, and I'm curious, do you ever go back and listen to those early recordings compared to like Now Oh Now, just to see what you've done differently or expanded upon?
Yeah, stuff comes up every once in a while. People will request something, and then it's like, oh, I haven't thought about that in 5 years, and then you go back and see if you can still remember the words. It's kind of a fun retrospective journey.
Yeah, every once in a while we'll revive an older arrangement of ours, or find a new place for one of the tunes that was on the earlier album, for example, and place it into a new context or a new set. So that's definitely something we still enjoy doing, revisiting a tune here and there,
And
see if
I'm
we still
always
like
curious with those who write their songs, do you consider those to be placeholders and you won't change the lyrics once they're done? Or with time, have you allowed yourself sometimes to go back and tweak a little bit?
Every once in a while I'll tweak a bit, but generally speaking, once we start performing it, I think it's saying what I hope it will say. That's my goal, at least. By the time it reaches the first performance.
Yeah, I guess especially with like adapting stuff, sometimes you'll revise the original text, and maybe you start singing it from paper or doing it exactly as it is, and then once you've sung it a couple times, you'll notice that it actually be a little bit smoother if we cut this down a little bit or something. But generally, yeah, I would say stuff sort of calcifies or gets petrified like amber,
And do
Petrified in a good way.
Yes.
And do you have any songs that were in the drawer for years, and every now and then you pull back out because you haven't been able to find the right?
Definitely. I think there are loads of sort of 80% finished pieces, whether it's a vocal song or a tune that just has never quite found a fully fledged arrangement, or we haven't found the right place for it in the set or something like that. And every once in a while we'll get to revisit those and be like, oh, what about that one tune that we couldn't find a spot for? That would be great for this moment or something like that. And that's a really fun kind of scavenger hunt when that gets to happen.
Well, you picked your fiddle back up. Connor's got his guitar still in hand. Ready for another one?
Always do. Yeah, we'll give you one more. Give you a set of tunes that starts with, I guess I was speaking a little bit earlier about how generally we write music and it's a piece and as opposed to a set these days, but this is actually a set of tunes just to kind of bring it all home.
Yeah, and actually tying it into what we were just talking about, this is this last tune in the set, The Waiting Game, it's called. It's a reel that was on our middle album, Counting Down the Hours, and it went dormant for a while, for several years, but we just found a new place for it, so here we go with 2 hop jigs and then the waiting game. Thanks so much for having us on, Peter.
Sean Scanlon, Connor Hearn, Rakish in town this evening at Alvaro Cider Works at 7 o'clock, brought to you by WTJU and the Blue Ridge Irish Music School. They're going to be in Philadelphia tomorrow, New York on Friday. They're going to be in Connecticut Saturday and closing things up in Medford, Mass on Sunday. Check out Rakish Music. That's RAKISH music.com to find out more. Pick up one of their new albums, their older albums. Now and Now is the newest one. And then if you're lucky enough to be across the pond, Celtic Connections coming up in January. Very exciting.
We're excited about that one for sure.
Thank you both. And we're going to send things back up to Michael in the air studio.
Thanks so much.